How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Apologies, or you're welcome for that opening of some ASMR. Unboxing the Doogee V30 Pro, which is an Android cell phone that I had no idea existed. I'm going to talk about it a little bit. Now, before we get into that, I'd like to use this opportunity just to be a little bit more candid and transparent about what it's like when you have a YouTube channel that is mildly successful. You start to get a lot of offers from companies. Some you've heard of, some you haven't, wanting to have you review their products because obviously they see that you have an audience and they offer you their products. By and large, more often than not, it's just you get to keep the product. You're not necessarily getting monetary kickback or anything like that. So when it comes to the Doogee, it's on the back of the phone there. That's the case. I've got the phone. I get to talk about it, and it's very difficult for me to do this video. I've been putting it off for a while because I don't like talking about things that I don't think are great. And that's not like, well, I guess it's a little bit of a spoiler for where we're going to get to. It doesn't mean there aren't things that I do like about this phone. But to go back to that whole idea of like you getting a whole bunch of offers from companies to review products, there's a lot that come in, and it's not primarily something that I am interested in doing. If there is an offer that comes in that will benefit my life and what I'm doing here on the channel, then I'll consider it. And when this came into my inbox, I was actually looking at the new iPhone, and capacity has always been a problem for me. And one of the big bullet point features on this phone is it has 512 gigabyte capacity built in. Obviously, it's also an Android phone, so you can use a external SD card to increase your storage. But storage is something that I struggle with a lot. Now, I thought this would be another way to sort of answer the question that I see a lot in my comment section, which is, what do you film on? What gear do you use? This, that, and the other thing. And the truth of the matter is, this is what I use to film on. This is my iPhone 13 Pro Max, and this is it. I throw this into my tripod, I start yapping away at the phone, and unless I'm using a GoPro, that's it. This is the gear that I use to film the vlogs here on my channel. It is the camera that I am getting out of the van in and going and placing on the side of the road to get the shot of the van driving by and then walking back to pick it up. This, that, and the other thing. So to answer the question, this is all I use. When I was doing my sharing your story vlogs a while back, I would use an external microphone, but outside of those videos, this is it. So those are some pretty big shoes to fill. And when I saw that this phone had 512 gigabyte capacity, I immediately took interest and I said, okay, well, maybe I should give this a shot, because what I would love to be able to do is use the phone as my camera, but not as my phone. You know what I mean? So I thought if there was something that could replace that and I could still use the iPhone as my everyday calling and texting device, and let's get serious, scrolling through YouTube videos, that would be great, because it is a little frustrating when you're filming and a call comes in, or if you're on a call and you want to get a shot, blah, 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 whatever. So anyways, that was my train of thought approaching this product. And it also boasted a camera developed by Sony. I don't have the actual specs on hand. Maybe I'll pull that up later. I'll put it right here, exactly what it says that it is. I used to be a photographer. We'll get back to that. We're going to circle back. And I actually did shoot Sony mirrorless right near the tail end of my sort of like time of being a photographer. And when I say photographer, I mean still photography. So I've got a lot of experience in that field. So I have now been putting this off because it's just, you know, it didn't blow me out of the water. But let's start with the things that I absolutely do like about this phone. And I had to write them down because I didn't want to forget any of them. So, like I mentioned, the 512 gigabyte built-in capacity is awesome. The other thing, as you saw when I was opening it up, is that it comes with a screen protector. And that's actually the secondary screen protector. It comes with one built in already. Well, not built in, but it's just applied. If I really wanted to, I could probably remove this, but that's pretty cool that it comes with a screen protector and a second one when this one gets, effed up. Also, I haven't tested this yet, and maybe that's how we'll end this video, but the whole thing with this Doogee series of phones, as far as I know, I'm not very familiar with this brand, had never heard of it before, and I think it's obviously it has a bigger presence probably in Europe, based on that power brick. Maybe I'm wrong, but that power brick doesn't plug into any outlet here in Canada. They're rugged phones, right? They're very rugged, and it's It makes it heavy for sure, but you see that it's got these like bumpies here that come out, protrude above the screen and protect the phone and all of that. It's cool that it has that. You don't have to get a phone case. That's the one thing, not the one thing, there's a couple other things, sure. But one thing that's a little obnoxious about the iPhones is that they're fragile, right? With this whole glass on the back and the front and everything. And it's very thin, very light. If I drop this onto concrete, it's not going to survive. It might still function, but it's going to be ugly AF. So you always got to get a case. What the heck was that? So you always got to get a case when you get a new phone, and then you're fine. That's just an added cost that you don't have when it comes to the Doogee phone. Doogee. I don't know how to say this thing. I highly doubt it's Doogee Howser MD. That's another thing that I liked about it. And then the other thing that has blown me out of the water, and it might change with everyday consistent use, but I have not been using this phone that much. I charged it. The last time I charged it was when I was at my parents' house before I left. I had it plugged in. I brought it up to 100%, and it is now at 94% battery capacity. Now, granted, there's a little bit of filming I did that we'll get to here in a second, but by and large, it's just been sitting in the van. I was even in cold weather for a while, and it's at 94%. That's some pretty impressive standby battery capacity, if you ask me. Now granted, I don't have anything to really compare that to, because let's get serious, I hardly ever put my iPhone down, but I would hazard a guess that my iPhone side by side with this Doogee phone, it's going to diminish the battery on standby a lot faster than this guy. It's just impressive. So that is really cool. Now, the meat and potatoes of this guy, for me, right? Number one, it's Android. Now, say what you will, iPhone versus Android, whatever. I am an iPhone user. This phone has not convinced me to switch over to the Android interface or operating system or anything like that. But if you are familiar with Android, then you're going to be very familiar with this phone. Can I unlock? You're not going to do it right now? Oh, it's too many times. I got to put in my PIN. Give me a second. We're going to unlock it, but it's very, very basic. Let's get out of the camera. There, right? Android operating system. There, I guess there's nothing else on that screen, but seems snappy enough to me. Again, it's not my cup of tea, but I was willing to switch over and give it a shot if this camera blew me out of the water, or not, at the very least was comparable to my iPhone and would be a decent replacement. Spoilers, it is not. Now, the phone boasts, its big selling feature is that it has a 200 megapixel sensor in it to take amazingly high resolution photos. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but like I said, I used to be a photographer for a living. And when we're starting to talk about megapixels and numbers that are sky high like that, that is simply a selling point. It's just flashy words to make the phone look more appealing to you. 200 megapixels is completely pointless unless you are taking photos that are going to be presented on an absolutely massive billboard for people to see from the sky. One of the most professional cameras I ever used was a 48 megapixel sensor camera, and that was all you ever needed to print to a billboard. Not going to get into it too technically, but 200 megapixels for what this phone is designed to do, for like posting to Instagram, posting to Facebook, whatever, or even getting photos printed from your phone, you can get away with 12 megapixels easy peasy. And you actually have better low light capabilities the less megapixels that you have. So 200 megapixels, or any phone that says we've got an amazingly high number of megapixels, calm down. If you are a photographer that is looking for something with high megapixels like that because you do it as a profession, you're probably not reaching for your phone. And the one thing that I've learned about using this phone, unfortunately, and I hate to say this because I used to be a huge believer in this, and to some extent I still am, but the question, or not even the question, but something that you would constantly say to a person that was asking you, well, what gear do I need? I need the best gear possible. And then the advice that you would give would be, don't get hung up on the gear. Just get out there and photograph, get out there and film, just do it. Now that still is true. The little asterisk with that statement of just get out there and do it is always like, you could take an amateur photographer and give them $5,000 worth of gear, and you could take a professional photographer and give them $100 POS, for lack of a better term, camera. And that professional photographer is probably going to get better looking photos than the amateur photographer with all of the expensive gear. Now, okay, depending on lighting and composition and all of that and how we're looking at it, that could absolutely still ring true. But now that I have used both of these cameras for my purposes in terms of filming, vlogging, my van life and everything, on a certain level, gear kind of does matter if you're looking for picture quality. Now, I can't explain it anymore, so we're going to give me a break from yapping here for a minute, and we're just going to cut away to some footage that I filmed exclusively with this camera, or with this phone, I should say, in the film mode, and then we'll come back, because I got to collect my thoughts. So here's some van life, day in the life stuff with the Doogee. And keeping in mind, all I've done is the exact same editing that I would do normally with my iPhone footage. So I've cut it the same. I haven't added any sort of color correction or picture correction. And the audio is the exact same audio filter that I put onto the footage that comes out of my iPhone. Raw. Everybody just calm down. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel, or just at the very least this segment for a future video. I'm recording this on the phone that I got from Doogee. It's the V30 Pro camera. Just going to do a little bit of filming here, kind of do some highlights of things that I usually do when I am filming a vlog, just to see how the camera performs. I'm going to be shooting it exclusively in the widescreen format, and we will probably go pick up some mail right before we pick up Brooklyn from her school and go out and have dinner with Lindsay and Sadie tonight. Just hanging out in Hidden Lucky right now, hunkered down. The brutally cold weather has passed, which is nice. Mwah. And you are just being all sorts of cute, aren't you? What are you doing? What are you doing? Hi. You want some treats? Should that be part of the segment? You want some treats? Yeah, all right. Okay, so hang on a second here. I'm not gonna, I can't watch this footage and not comment on it. I don't know how much it's coming across in the finished video, obviously. The footage is just in my editing program. For those that are wondering, I use Final Cut Pro on my Mac. But the one thing I'm already noticing is that the frame rate, it says it's 30. This is another little like nitpick I had. On the iPhone, when I open up the iPhone and I go into my camera, see if I can show you this here. Right up here in the corner, it says 30. That means frames per second. It shows me that we're shooting in HD, which is 1080p, not 4K. There's no indication on this phone, on the Doogee. Come on, man. There's no indication what you're shooting in. The only way I was able to discover what it apparently is shooting in was to get the footage from the phone into my computer and then go into the details. That's just a weird quality of life thing that's lacking. And then if you also notice there in that first shot where I was sitting there talking to Penny before I pulled the camera in closer to her, you might have noticed the screen pulsing a little bit, and that is the autofocus of this camera. It seems very dated, and it doesn't quite know where to focus. And again, with the phone that I use, it's just got such good face detection that you don't even notice stuff like that. It's so smooth. Yeah. Anyway, back to giving Penny treats on the Doogee phone. All right, so we'll go, whoa, and there are the treats. It's like they knew we were talking about them or something. Okay, Penny. So, there you go. Go get them. All right. I'll help you out, Miss No Opposable Thumbs. All right, you ready? This what you want? This what you want? Good girl. Hello. 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 Good girl. And one more, because you're just so darn cute. All right. Well, let's go into Grace and go get some mail. Before that, well, actually, before that, those might be wondering if I've got both phones in my hand. What am I filming on? I'm actually filming on my own iPhone 11 Pro Max right now. Take that for what you will. But watching that clip with me hand holding the camera and giving Penny treats, I'm sorry, if you were getting a weird nauseated effect or the screen seemed jarring to you, I would say that's the lack of any sort of camera stability built in. Now, it might be a little bit, I'm shooting in widescreen like I mentioned on the camera, which is another whole obnoxious thing to get to through the interface on the camera in the Doogee phone. but the regular lens might have some sort of image stabilization, but the widescreen clearly does not. Another thing that's very, it's just so second nature in the higher end phones that you're not really seeing it there. So I'm going to try to keep that kind of footage to a minimum, because I know some people can get quite nauseated with stuff like that. We'll try to focus solely on tripod shots, but I'm trying to get as many different shots with this phone that I could. So back to it. Not that warm out yet. Just gonna have to fire Grace up and let her run for a little bit first. She has not run very much today. Oh, okay. So first things first, we're gonna get some of that oil back up to the top. There we go. And Grace comes to life. The cold is not being kind to her tires, though. They're still very low. And I won't be able to mount my phone up here on the dash because this is a magnet mount. This phone has no magnet built in. You could solve that by getting a sticky magnet and sticking it to the back of the phone, or just getting one of those clamp magnets like what the phone is currently in when I'm filming. I meant to say phone mount, not magnet that second time. It's a phone mount. But anyways, upon looking at this footage a little bit more, you could avoid that pulsing with the autofocus by indeed setting an autofocus. So this is actually the let me see. So this is the Doogee's interface. It's gonna be trippy AF, right? Hi, how are you? Right? But that pulsing is caused because this is constantly trying to focus on something. I guess I could look in here, that doesn't look so freaky. Like any other phone on the market, just including the iPhone, if you press and hold somewhere, you're gonna get that and it's gonna say autofocus, auto exposure lock. Then that wouldn't happen as much, which is good. But again, I don't have to do that, or very rarely do I ever have to do that. It has to be a very artsy-fartsy shot that I'm trying to get with an object that is close to the camera versus something that is further away where I ever use that actual touch and hold feature. Again, because the autofocus is just so much better. And then also, if you're picking up on the audio, like I said, I only ever use my phone to film. I'm filming on an iPhone 11 Pro Max right now. I never use an external microphone. The microphone on this Doogee phone, comparatively, not the best. Yeah, you could spend hours diving into audio filters and editing and stuff like that, but when you film as much as I do, who wants to do that? I've created myself a filter. The exact same filter is applied to what you're listening to right now, and when we are bopping around in Grace with the Doogee phone, and it still sounds a lot more hollow, tinny, and not as bassy, right? That could easily be fixed with an external microphone if you were wanting to do that with the Doogee phone. All right, let's get some mail. Well, that's about as good of a driving shot as I can get with this guy. And yes, I am listening to 90s dance hits.
Now, Mr. Lover.
Oh. All right, let's see how it performs when I'm walking around. The Oopus store.
Hi, Matthew.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. You look a little overwhelmed.
Me? Yes, it suddenly got busy.
Okay, that's about enough of that. That's all I can take. So, yeah, it doesn't stand up to what I would need out of a video camera, that's for sure. And another thing I should point out, and this would go for any Android phone if you are looking to purchase one, because I know that there are plenty of phones out there in that operating system that do have amazing cameras. But when it comes to editing for me, if you don't have a PC, it's not going to be a very easy road for you. It wasn't for me. Now, yeah, there's multiple ways that you can get the footage from the phone to the computer. You just plug in the phone to the USB port on the computer. However, when it's a Mac, I had to go into some weird USB settings on the phone and become a developer or turn on something sort of developer mode, and only then would my computer recognize the phone as storage, and then I could access the files. Alternatively, if I was using a memory card, I could pop the memory card out of the phone, put it into a memory card reader, and that's all well and good. But as a Mac user, there's just such an easier way to do it, and that's through AirDrop. And I think there does exist something fairly similar for Androids and PCs, but if you already have a MacBook, it's not worth the headache as far as I'm concerned. Again, it's just sort of like workflow, and that's just adding steps that I don't need. Now, the last thing we can test is how it functions as an actual phone. So let's take the SIM card out of my iPhone and put it into the Doogee and see what happens. All right, now that I'm here doing a shot like this, again, I realize I didn't really explain that opening. I opened the phone up when I was in Radium on the way back to my parents' house in Craze. If you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications. That'd be great. And then I just spent some time with the phone. Okay, now that we've explained that. So, I'm gonna take the case off of my iPhone here. And like every iPhone, I gotta use this little prick device to pop out the SIM card tray. Come here. There. So while not too difficult, annoying that you have to keep something like that on hand. So there's my SIM card. And then on this phone, this is kind of nice. It's over here. It's just this little SIM card slot. And I've had this open a few times. It's actually interesting. It's got a little thumb thing here. I don't have any nails right now. There we go. There's the tray it comes with. And this is where you would actually load your micro SD card as well, as far as I can tell. Now, where does this fit into? Okay, we'll take this. I'm assuming, oh, maybe not that one. This one? Like that? And then this has to go in upside down. So put it in like that and see if I get service. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Other things that I do like about this is there's a fingerprint scan to unlock the phone, as well as face detection or putting in a password, obviously. Can't process fingerprint. Please try again. Well, that's embarrassing. But that's just not recognized. Well, that's interesting. It's been working every time up to this point. I just unlocked it with the code. This red button here is cool. This is a customizable button, and in the settings, you can make it do whatever you want. And I think mine was bring up the camera. Yeah, so it just opens up the camera automatically no matter where you are on the phone. Anyway, do we have service? Oh, we do. Let's try. Let's see where the YouTube's at. Let's go to YouTube. Another thing I do like about this phone, connect to the internet, retry. Maybe it's not working. Uh-oh, maybe it's not unlocked. But one thing I do like about it is that it's got speakers on either side. So there's speakers right there, and there's speakers here. And when you hold it like this, you get a little like a little mini boom box. I don't know why this is not connecting to the internet. Well, maybe this is just me being unfamiliar with Android. But you just plug a SIM card in, you should just have service. Let me see if I can figure this out. I'm sure somebody out there that has an Android is losing their mind, but it should just automatically work. I don't know why the internet's not working. I just sent a text message, so we'll see if that works, if I get a reply back. Well, I don't know about that. I can't find anything. The SIM card says it's working. Mobile network says TELUS. Maybe I should try... TELUS is a phone provider in Canada. No internet. Well, I don't know. That's interesting. I thought this would be super smooth. It's 2024. I thought throwing a SIM card in would just work. I haven't had to deal with a locked phone in forever. Not saying that that's what's happening, because it says 5G connected, so I'm very... I don't know. This is probably on me, but again, like I say, stuff should just work. Hang on. I think I had to go turn on. It said there I had to go into the SIM. So here's what I had to do. Woo! I had to go in to settings, go to SIM card and mobile data, then tap on, where is the bloody mobile network? I tap on that. It brings me to another screen. And then I had this little switch was off, this mobile data. I don't know why. I also don't like that when you're in a screen like this, there's no indication that tapping on these things would go to another screen, like a little arrow over here. That's an iPhone versus Android thing, I think. Let's see if it works now. What was I trying to do? Oh yes, load up YouTube. Oh, it's working now. Back online, it says. Excellent. See if the quality of these speakers comes through while we wait for that text message to get returned. Well, there we go. We'll just go into this. Turn it sideways. Hello? And, why isn't it? Do I have an orientation lock on or something? Anyway, we'll just do it that way. Yeah, that's a familiar looking scene. It might not be coming through. The sound quality is really good. There's sound down here and down here. So when it comes to the shush you, when it comes to the sound quality that comes out, like if you were watching YouTube videos and stuff, that seems pretty darn good to me. All right, well, I haven't gotten a text message back yet, but let's see if they answer the phone call. We'll see how she sounds on these speakers.
Hello, hello.
Oh, hello, there you are.
It's working.
It is working, except it's an Android phone and it showed your number when I called you instead of just your name. So I'm gonna have to remember right? Come on, get your poop in a group. Anyway, people in the comments section are wondering what happened to you. Are you still alive?
I am. I just posted a video so they can go check it out.
Hey, there you go. But by the time this goes live, that will be very old. Well, congratulations on your video. Turns out the phone works like a phone, so that's good.
Yay. Some requirements.
Yeah, minimum requirements, no doubt. I can't make the screen come back on now. This is not great, phone. Hello?
Hello?
Press buttons.
Want me to hang up?
Right, no doubt. There, I was able to bring it back by pressing a button. Inconvenient. Okay, thank you. I'll see you in a bit.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Okay, so that wasn't the most ideal user experience, but, you know, little things. I just looked it up to make sure, because here's the thing. All these little, at the end of the day, little complaints, depending on the use that you want to have for the phone. I looked it up, and this thing is only $615 Canadian. Actually, $614.39 right now. It's on sale. That's a sale price. It's normally on for $843. Now, with the fact that it's this big rugged phone that's got a really good standby battery, that has expandable storage, that's not so bad if you're not looking to do a bunch of videoing and you just want to take pictures, because it takes pretty decent pictures. This isn't the worst thing in the world, right? Even the charge port has a little protective cover. So that's pretty good for that price point. You got to remember that the iPhones, they are not cheap. You pay for that, and I guess I pay for a certain quality of workflow. Quality workflow. Those are my thoughts on this phone, you guys. It's the Doogee V30 Pro. I'm not going to go on too much more about it. I mean, honestly, I can only think of one way to end this video, and testing out that final feature. Yeah, the internet is filled with them. All right, there you go. We've got a little bit of damage on the corner. That's what would happen to a phone case. Little bit up there. The camera on the back seems okay. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. It still takes mediocre video.